Hi, and welcome. My name is Alan, and I'm putting together a web series called The Thoughtful Gay Southerner, and I plan to talk about a wide variety of issues, some of them related to gay life and what it's like, and some of those issues, but also just anything, life in general, from my perspective. And not everything will be serious. I have a rather dorky sense of humor that will come out if you continue to watch and I continue to make these videos. So just be forewarned that that's coming. I'm happy to talk about a wide variety of subjects, so if there's something you would like me to make a video on, feel free to leave a comment to that effect in the comment box below. If I don't know anything about the subject, that's never stopped me before, but I will promise to read up on the subject a little bit so that my opinion can be somewhat well informed, even if it is just my own personal opinions, not reflective of anyone or anything besides just my own thoughts on the subject. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the importance of coming out. And that's a difficult issue for a lot of people. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And so while some of the advice or comments I have in the video may sound a bit frank or dark, I don't want you to find that discouraging. I just want you to understand that there's risk, there's inherent risk in coming out. And part of the inherent risk is that our society and our families and so forth, things are better than they've ever been, truthfully, but they're not as good as they could be. And they're not as good as perhaps in other cultures. I don't know. The United States does tend to have a little more puritanical bent to it than, not as much as some other countries by a long shot, but there's still that little streak there. So there's the issue of culture and also of family, but it's vitally important to come out for two main reasons. One is the personal side of things. As a person who is closeted for quite some time, I can tell you that it's very difficult to live sort of this twofold life. You have the life of your public persona, if you will, of whomever you present yourself to be. But then there's this other little thing, and there's this niggling thought in your head of who you are and who you really are in terms of how you see yourself and how you think of yourself. And it's hard when those two things don't mesh. It's hard emotionally, it's hard psychologically. And if you're a straight person watching this video just to kind of see what in the world I'm talking about, it's very difficult to be a closeted gay person because to maintain that, you have to basically lie and deceive. And not just general people, but everybody. The people closest to you, your own parents, your own siblings. And that is exhausting, and that is demoralizing. And if you've never experienced it or experienced something like that, it's hard to describe, it's hard to even imagine, but it's true. And it's a reality that a lot of people have lived with and a lot of people continue to live with. And they don't feel empowered to come out either because of their religious background or their family circumstances or the culture in which they find themselves. And I know the South, where I'm from South Carolina originally, and I live in New Mexico now, but it's difficult when you're in that situation. So I want you to know that there are lots of people out there. There are lots of gay people, and they're wonderful. Some of the just most genuine, caring people you could possibly imagine. And so if your friend group is not as welcoming as perhaps they could be, you might lose some. I mean, that's how it is. It's unfortunate. But what happens is that those people drop away and much more positive people come into your life, and you get to meet some amazing people doing some incredible things, not just in the realm of equality, but just across the board. There are gay people doing practically every profession imaginable. Um, and any church communities, there's many church communities, there are just all kinds of different things. So there's that. There's putting aside this angst, this frustration, this fear. And part of the fear is not only what you think might happen, but there's also this unknown that you don't know. And so this is one of the frank bits. It's scary. And every out gay person you meet in your life, to varying degrees, will know that feeling. And I guess I should say, can empathize in a way that a lot of other people can't. Because if your public persona, if you will, and your belief system and how you see yourself align with the culture and align with your religious background, all this, there's this meshing. And so when you are a gay person who's in the process of coming out and these things come in conflict with each other, they can really come in conflict and they can alter your relationships. And some of the relationships may end or fizzle out or be awkward and then kind of get better over time. But believe me, once you start meeting people and once you start becoming active in the community, there are a lot of wonderful people out there and you will make new friends. Now that said, family is a different story because family is forever. And hopefully those relationships can continue. And I've been extraordinarily fortunate. When I originally came out, not so much. It was very awkward and difficult and uncomfortable and just nasty. But like 13 years have gone by now, and so and it took a while because I come from a very conservative background, a conservative family, conservative religious community, and everything, and so it took a lot. And it's going to take a lot of courage on your part too. But it got to the point where I couldn't live like that anymore. I could not do that. I just was tired of lying to people. I mean, even the basic Great Aunt at Christmas, are you seeing somebody question? I mean, something that simple, that obvious. And it takes on a whole new meaning when, yeah, you are seeing someone. And his name is such and such. So there's always that moment of, oh. So there's this personal part. There's the part of making the way you present yourself and the way you interact with people authentic to who you are and who you see yourself. That's part one. Part two is the public piece. And let me take a sip of water. The public piece is that there is a gay community, and there are a lot of us, and how the public and how people perceive us is directly related to their experience. And if their experience of the gay community is limited to what they hear in conservative media and what they hear from the pulpit of more evangelical, Pentecostal, and the very conservative churches, they're not going to have a very positive opinion. They're just not, because they don't know, they don't see, they don't hear. And so it's important that you speak. You have your voice. And it's important that you use it. Because a lot of people, and for those who've been out for a while or come from more liberal areas, this might be a foreign concept, but there are people that I've met in my life that are 70, 80, 90 plus years old, and I'm the only out gay person they have ever met. I'm sure they've met gay people because we're everywhere, but as far as out, I know this fact about this person. I may be the only one. And especially if you come from a rural community, a more isolated community, you may very well be the representative of the gay community to these people. And to use more theological language, you're sort of ministering to these people because they have such a negative view, and there's so much fear and mistrust and perhaps even a bit of loathing towards the gay community because of all these different messages they've heard and all these different voices that have just been saying negative thing after negative thing. And all of a sudden here you are, someone that they've known all your life or all their life. That voice will get through to them when no one else will. Your voice, you as this person they've known and trusted and loved for years, is telling them about yourself and who you are authentically. That is probably the most powerful, positive image they will ever have of the gay community. And so if we let fear, and if you let fear silence you, then we're all the poorer for it. Your community is poorer for it. You personally are poorer for it, and the gay community. And we all need you. Every last one of us, from every race and language and tribe and religion and that exists in the world, we need you. We need your voice. We need you to lend your insight, your vision of yourself to the people around you. So that's the main reason that it's important to come out. There's varieties of others, but it's important personally to not have this angst, this anger, because once you've crossed over, as it were, and come out to those closest to you. I mean, you never really finish coming out. I mean, every time you meet somebody new, that's just how it is. But you get used to it. And the first people you come out to are usually the hardest, because they're usually people you're close to, where there's a huge risk. I mean, if the new guy at the office doesn't like you, who cares? To an extent. But when it's parents and siblings and very close friends, and if you're older, I mean, maybe even your own kids, because I know people that were married and had children the old-fashioned way and came out later in life. So there are people that have huge risks. But once that's over, once you've made that and the chips have fallen, you will be so much better off, regardless of how the chips fall. Having that authentic life and having that whole sense of self. They're not hiding this important piece, because our sexuality it's foundational. I mean, there's a reason there's so much written about it. There's a reason there's so many taboos and so many laws and so many moral regulations and constrictions around it, is because it is foundational to who we are. So there's that. And then there's the public piece. Then there's the part about the gay community and equality, and making sure that as we move forward in our current political climate, that we don't lose some of what we've gained. Because there are people who spent decades fighting for equality, and it's going to take every last one of us standing up to be counted and speaking out to keep those things from being taken away. Because there are those among us who will want to take those away. And some of those are very powerful people who have the capacity and the resources and the wherewithal to make good on that. So it's incumbent upon all of us to stand up, to speak out, to be heard. So that's my 2 cents on why it's important to come out. And so I hope that you've enjoyed this. And like I said, some of my other videos won't be quite so deep. I'm going to do some fun things just to kind of keep it fresh, keep it lively. And again, if you have any questions at all, put them in the comment box. And if I'm comfortable talking about it, I mean, some of the things maybe not, but to the extent that I am, or the extent that I have an opinion on it, I will make a video and I will address your questions and your concerns. And if you're a straight person who's watching this because you're curious to know what gay people think and are like and do, again, ask your questions. I have been out for well over a decade. I've been part of church communities from all over the place. I even have been to seminary, so I know these things. I'm quite conversant in a wide variety of issues relating to gay people. So just feel free, fire away, ask your questions, and we will see where this goes. Thank you for your time.